Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel, Brandy Janae's Bookshelf. Today I'm going to be doing a video that might come as a surprise to you because I don't think that I fully announced that I was participating in this readathon. As you can tell from the title of this video, I am doing the O.W.L's magical readathon wrap up. I think I mentioned that I would be trying to participate as much as I could in my April TBR, but I'm not completely sure if I kept that in or not. If I did, then and you remember that, then I mentioned it in that video. But if I did not keep it in, or you didn't watch that, I don't know. I went into April with the plan on participating in the O.W.L's magical readathon, but not like gearing my TBR towards that specific readathon. I told myself that I was just going to look at the prompts, and if the books that I was reading fit into those prompts, then I would count them towards that, and that's how I was going to participate. So kind of like passively participating in it. But as I started getting a little bit more into it and I've watched a few vlogs now, I was just like, you know what, I kind of want to participate in it because it's like a more in-depth readathon, and also it's like it has multiple parts to it, and I really wanted to participate in the second half of this readathon and like all the little extra credit things. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and participate. This was maybe about halfway through the month when I went and checked the prompts versus what I was reading. I was able to actually check off quite a few of the prompts, so I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and try to find stuff to fit the other ones that I have left. I will say, before even getting into this wrap up, I did complete, I believe, 11 out of 12 of the prompts, and I technically still have another day, or I guess because today's the 29th that I'm filming, so I have another 2 days that I can try to get that prompt done. But honestly, I don't have a book that I'm willing to put other reading off for at the moment that I really want to, that I really want to get to. So I was just like, you know what, it's fine. This is all kind of last minute for me anyway, so that's why I didn't really have like a whole separate video for that. So yeah, I figured I would just go over the prompts that I completed and what books I read for those prompts. Also, for this video, because this is technically a wrap-up, I won't be talking about these books in detail, or my thoughts about each of the books in detail, because I either have talked about them in my part 1 of my April wrap-up, or they will be in part 2 of my April wrap-up, which I will obviously talk more about. So I don't want to have like multiple videos talking about the same books over and over. So I have this here. I have been looking at people doing these bullet journals, and I like the idea of them, but I was just like, I'm not really artistic, and I don't think, like, it's not something that I have the time for. And I use like a regular planner. If you guys have heard of it, I use the Erin Condren planner, and I plan with stickers. So I use that for like my weekly planning to make sure, keep on track with like bills and video posting, blog stuff. But, I use that to keep up with my weekly life. But somehow this year I ended up with like 3 different notebooks that I was trying to keep track of, like what I'm reading, what I have read, do reviews in, and all of that. And I was just like, you know what, it's getting to be a bit too much. I got really caught up in the idea of different reading journals that were pre-made because I'm really lazy, and I was just like, you know what, I just want something that's easy to use. However, the problem that I came up with, if you guys have been following along, at least so far this year, I have been reading so much that those journals just aren't enough room for me. So about halfway through the month, I was running out of room to record stats and just the books that I was reading. So I was just like, you know what, I saw someone do something online. I was like scrolling through Instagram at different like reading trackers or reading journals, or bullet journals, but like reading specific, and I found one, and I was just like, you know what, that's really simple. I like that idea, and it allows me to customize, and I'm also going to use this to like write in reviews once I'm done with each book. And I think if I don't do a full review for that, then I'll like use those thoughts and then post them to Goodreads, because that's something that I was doing before. But since I had so many notebooks, I stopped using the reading journal that I bought specifically for me to write down you know, my thoughts after finishing reading. And when it came time for me to do, you know, wrap ups, I was like just completely forgetting because I didn't write down my thoughts and I didn't have anything to look back on and remember. Anyway, that's besides the point. I started this, so I have like stuff here. Mine isn't like super fancy. I was complaining about my handwriting because I was showing my mom, because I set this up over the weekend, and I was just like, you know what, this is my handwriting. I don't care. I'm probably not going to be showing this off to really anyone, so it's not a big deal. I mean, I guess if you guys want to see it, I can show it off, but it's not a huge deal. And the only thing that I really like was trying to be specific about was like when I was doing my lines for this type of stuff. But as you can see, I was trying to do my page counter, and I kept messing up, and it's messy. It's gonna get better as I go along, but this is what I have for now. And I'm already rambling on about other stuff. I think I'm gonna keep it in because I don't never keep all of this other stuff in. Let's get into this video. Like I said, for the O.W.L readathon, there were 12 prompts, and as I was going through, and it helped me figure out what I might possibly want to do later, since the second half of the readathon is a little bit more involved depending on how you decide to do it. I decided to go ahead and pick a career. And this is a little weird for me. I had to actually go and look up stuff because since I haven't finished reading, I think I read up to like the 3rd book in the Harry Potter series, and there's not too much details about like careers after Hogwarts and stuff like that. So I had to go do research. So career wise, I decided to go with being a ministry worker, and specifically with that, working in the Department of Mysteries. I'm not going to get into all of the little details, but I will leave a link to the announcement video down in the description. For that specific career, my requirements for the O.W.L readathon was to complete Charms, Defense Against the Dark Arts, History of Magic, Potions, and Transfiguration. So I've done all of those, and like I said, I've done most of them. So let's just get into the prompts and what I've read, because this video is already way too long. So the first prompt was Ancient Runes, and for this one it was to read a retelling, and this is the only one that I did not do. The next prompt or class was Arithmecy, and this one was to read a work written by more than one author. And for this one, I kind of stretched it a little bit. I did have an audiobook for another book. I'll probably still like end up listening to that since I have it available to me at the moment. But it was like over 400 pages, and I didn't feel like trying to rush through that to finish it today, because it was another one I needed to finish, one of my requirements for the career. So I was just like, you know what, that's more important than this. But anyway, for that one, I went with Food Wars Volume 29 by Yuto Sakuda. I decided to pick this one because although the story is by one person, we have art by Shun Saiki. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but I never mentioned that. But with manga, you know, the art is such a big part of the story, so hopefully that's not a spoiler. Ooh, that could possibly be a spoiler, sorry. But because the art is such a big role in the storytelling, I was just like, that could be considered as more than one author. Also, if you want to go even a step further, there is a contributor in to this one, Yuki Murasaki, and I believe the contributor is the one who helps out with the recipes and all of like the cooking terminology, like everything that does with the actual cooking. I think the contributor is the one that helps out with that type of stuff. So once again, like with the artists, if these things weren't there, or if these people weren't helping with this, then it wouldn't be what it is. So I'm gonna count that as more than one author. If you don't, oh well, this is my specific reading and what I picked for that. But yes, I read this one, or read this for that prompt. The next class was Astronomy, and for that one it was to read a book with the word star in the title. And this is another one I had a few different ones for, but I decided to actually purchase something outside of my TBR, which I was trying not to do, but I wanted something shorter because all of the books that I could think of that had star in the title were a little longer than what I was wanting to pick up. So I found Twin Star Exorcist Volume 1 by Yoshiaki Tsukino. The next class was Care of Magical Creatures, and this one was to read a book with a land animal on the cover, and I think this one was the hardest for me to find because I was really trying not to have to go out and buy anything else, and I was just like, I could not find a book that had a land animal, or at least none of the ones that I physically owned. And I was just like, I have all of these books, a lot of them have people on them, some of them might have animals on there and I just didn't notice. I have no idea. I didn't have time to look through my shelves, but I randomly went because I was trying to, I think at this point I was looking for manga and stuff that was shorter so I can find something else, and I was about to read a book of poetry because it was a dog on the cover, but then I pulled this out, and I'm gonna have to probably put this up, but there is a dog on the cover. If you guys see right where my finger is, there is like a little dog in the background, and I was just like, you know what, they didn't say it had to be big, and it's also on the back cover, so I picked this up. This is The Water Princess by Susan Verde. It's illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds, and is based on the childhood experience of Georgie Badil. Next class was Charms, and this one was age line, read, and adult work. For this one, I decided to go with Needing to Love You by Aaron Riley. This is a romance novel that I received for review, so that one was one of the ones that I was just like, okay, that fits perfectly in there. Next class was Defense Against the Dark Arts, and the prompt for this one was Readathon, title that starts with an R. And for this one, I went with Worldly Endowed by Emma Chase. This is another one that I got really lucky with because for a minute I was just like, I literally have no books that start with R. Next class was Divination, and this was to read a book set in the future. And for this one, I went with Night Chaser by Amanda Boucher. This was the March book pick for the Wicked Spirits Book Club. I read it in April though because I didn't read it in time for March, and our live show was like late April anyway. I actually read a few books that could have fit for this challenge, but that was the first one that I finished, so I just filled that in. Next class was Herbology, and this one was to read a book with a plant on the cover. And for this one, I went with Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. As you can see, there is a rose on the cover. Next class was History of Magic. Read a book that was published at least 10 years ago. Once again, got really lucky with this one, and I read Angel's Blood by Nalini Singh. This was the April book pick for the Wicked Spirits Book Club, so it was something that was already on my TBR that I needed to read anyway, so worked out perfectly for that as well. Next class was Muggle Studies, and this was to read a contemporary book, and I went with My Brother's Husband Volume 1 by Gengaro Tagami. Read this one for the Attack on Manga Book Club and another perfect fit. The second to last class was Potions. Next ingredient, read a sequel, and for this one I had read Frostbite by Rochelle Mead. This is the sequel to Vampire Academy. It, like I said, it ended up working out really well because a lot of these I had read like the first half of the month. So when I went and looked at all the prompts, I was just like, oh, I can plug all of these in. And the last class for the O.W.L's Magical Readathon was Transfiguration. And for this one, you either had to read a book with sprayed edges or a red cover. And I think mine can technically count for both, but I really just went for the sprayed edges. And for that one, I went with Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto. I actually just finished this today. The cover isn't completely red, so I don't know if that completely counts for the red cover, but like I said, this does have the sprayed edges. Those are all the books that I read for the O.W.L's Magical Readathon for 2019. Like I said, I completed 11 out of the 12 prompts. I am on track for my career because, like I said, I need to do Charms, Defense Against the Dark Arts, History of Magic, Potions, and Transfiguration. So I finished all of those, and then I think the Newts is taking place in August. I'm pretty sure I keep hearing people say that it's supposed to happen in August. So I think for that I will try to do a TBR, or at least like do a video saying, hey, I am participating in this. That's all I have, I guess, for this video. It might be a little long because I was rambling on for quite a bit. Let me know if you guys participated in this readathon, and if you are participating, let me know what career you're planning on like trying to follow for the rest of the readathon. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more from me, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye.